me what to do, and I
That's the
immediately.
message.
Okay. So
Okay.
great. Once again, thank you, Missy. And so
Okay.
we'll get started here. And as I said, it's been a joy. This company has been a joy. It's been fun, and as you can just tell, we all can just have flexibility no matter what. But again, back to the stories, and I love this story time call. And I would encourage you all, invite people to hear these stories because they're so amazing every time. I think about, like Keely, and you look at people and they look beautiful and they look healthy, and she is healthy now, of course, but you don't know that maybe they're dealing with one thing or another. Uh, you know, for her it was asthma and a few other things that sounded like, and you don't know when people are on medication or things of that nature. I know for myself, there were so many things in my life that were, they weren't deadly, they were just miserable. And Juice Plus made the difference. But what I really identified with her was all those health monsters that were in my family heritage. You grow up and you see all this in your family, the illnesses that people have, and you think, well, I'm destined. I used to think those health monsters were nipping at my heels. And it's been so many years now that the health monsters have been so far in the distance in the back that you forget about them. And that's such a blessing. And I'm happy for Keely for that result as well. Also, from listening to Keely and to Carrie, it sounds like, and we know they're healthy Juice Plus babies there have for 30 over 30 years now. The 30 years we've been right at 30 years with Juice Plus is that, the healthy, happy babies. And so it makes a huge difference. The research that's been done on Juice Plus, that if you can even be on Juice Plus before pregnancy, that, everything from the health of the mother, the baby, but even the longevity of the child and his future, just so many things, and all that basis, of good nutrition. Also, Carrie, with her, she's going to reach out to 1 billion people. Yay. I've been on that track for a long time now. We're definitely going to capture that with the help of everybody that's participating in this whole mission. And I think we're really blessed, so blessed. And then Jenny with her energy. I mean, and how long did I say no to my sponsor? It always tickles me too, because first time I heard of this, I thought, I'm too smart for that. I know better than that. I'm not going to be involved in this, that, or the, I'm educated, for God's sake. But anyway, once you realize what it is, it's that defining moment when you think, how blessed am I? And it's like waking up in a wonderful world. So thrilled to have all of you here. And tonight, Mary is going to continue with me, and I appreciate her and her whole team. She's going to continue with me, and we're going to talk about the business. And right now, especially in our world where we are, it's interesting, so much we've all experienced, so much uncertainty over the past 2 years, and things seem to be settling down a bit. And it looks like, life is beginning to take on some normalcy, if there's such a thing. But we look around, and I know for myself, and I have this conversation with so many people on the team, in our organization, in our company, how blessed we are. We not only have been able to work from home very effectively, and our businesses grow and continue to, be stable and take care of our families, and do for ourselves what we've needed to, even in these very unusual times. And we've also done it with a lot of freedom, because we are, I guess you would say, the president of our own companies. We're our own boss, all of those kind of things. So we've been able to have that, you might say, that freedom of being able to pursue our business as we chose and as we see fit, and to be very productive, even in a time that was very strange. But Mary and I were going to talk tonight about, where we are as a country, but financially, where people financially, because we certainly see people needing income, because there's been so much shift in the way people can earn income today. Things have changed so greatly. there are a lot of people too that don't want to go back to maybe whatever life was from a work standpoint before. So Mary, maybe you can share your thoughts on financial stability, and I know you have some input you want to give there as well.
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Honestly, I think what we do on the business side of Juice Plus, I think I'm more passionate about it than the products sometimes, because
I feel that way sometimes as well.
Yeah. And I didn't start that way, but the statistic, you may have heard this. It says back from the recession in 2008, the average American really only needed $400 or $500 extra to cover, let's say if there was an emergency that came up, and they didn't have it. Okay. And if you think about it, the average American does not have $400 or $500 to cover an emergency that comes up, or they have zero emergency fund. I feel like that's a problem. I mean, I have 4 young children, and sometimes it seems like we have an emergency every day. But things are always coming up, and I think that's scary. And one of the reasons that has propelled me to share this business with others just along the way is that that's not okay. And if you can't afford an emergency fund right now, even for just a few $100s, what is it going to look like 20 years down the road? How are you ever going to be able to retire? We're told to go to college, get a job, retire, and then you get to have all the fun you want to have. Then you get to travel, but if you don't have the money, you can't do that. And I think that we have seen in the past year or two, there's a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. Maybe people are starting to feel a little bit better health-wise, but now there's uncertainty in jobs. You guys may have noticed there's a little bit of inflation going on. If you've been to the gas pumps, if you've been to the grocery store, if you tried to buy a car, if you've been able to find a car to buy. Cheryl and I were talking about this earlier, and it's a little bit scary, and it's funny. My husband said, "You've just been spending so much more money lately." But I'm the one that goes to the grocery store, and I'm like, well, you need to come along with me to see how much things cost right now. But it's funny that in light of this recession, I listened to a podcast the other day that talked about it, is that people are still quitting their jobs. They're not finding purpose in their jobs. Over 75 million people quit their jobs just in 2021, which is kind of incredible if you think about it. And you may have heard of this mass exodus called the Great Resignation or the Big Quit. Guys, that's a lot of people. That's a big talent pool of people out there that are looking for opportunity and looking for something that makes them happy. And, as important as financial stability is, I think people are also realizing at the same time that they want what they got a taste of during the pandemic, when they got to work from home, have a little bit more time flexibility. My husband started going to our office, the front of our house, in his pajamas every day, and he was on calls, and he got to eat lunch with us. I mean, it's hard to go back to the office once that happens. But Forbes did a survey, and it said that right now people are reevaluating their work-life priorities, and the things that they want most are a bigger salary, more career opportunity, a feeling of value from their leaders, better relationships with their colleagues. They want to like the people that they work with, and the ability to work remotely. And most importantly, they want to do work that matters. And when I listened to that list, I thought, well, that's exactly what we have here with the Juice Plus company. So it's really, I feel like the pandemic has caused so many people just to kind of reevaluate their work-life priorities and think about, do they really want to work all the time to be able to live? People really value that, the flexibility sometimes more than the paycheck. They value the community and the people that they work with more than the paycheck, and that's what we're so blessed to be able to have. And so, when people haven't been building building businesses to earn some extra income, we're not as financially stable maybe as we could be. The average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Some of you guys may have heard that statistic before. So if you're not a millionaire, count how many streams of income you have. Maybe you need to add some. Were you going to say something about that, Cheryl?
Yeah, a number of things is that certainly people are reevaluating. And I have a friend that's a physical therapist that's in my business. now, was not before. But his, he was always talking about he was going to try to add more hours. He was going to work more hours because then he could do more for his family. Maybe they'd buy a bigger house or whatever. And it's so interesting, because it's just like you're talking about. He said, I got to be home with my kids. I got to see my kids during the day. And he's done a complete turnaround in that, no, I don't want to add extra hours. If anything, I want to have time, with my children as they're growing up. So it's so interesting to me that, the pandemic's brought a lot of uncertainty, but I think it's really helped people wake up to things that maybe they can find more value in their lives. They can, have and make different choices. We didn't realize, maybe people didn't realize that was possible. For this business, for me, it came across at a very desperate time. And so it was going to be part-time income, and I was going to try to stay above struggle. I wouldn't have thought about this, but today people are thinking about what can they do differently so that their lives will be something that, will serve them better in so many different ways. And I think also, the thing about people wanting to be in control of their time, work from home, all of these things come into play right now. But I think it's very important that we, on the mission that we're on, make sure that we, talk to people about the option, that this option is available. Because I'm sure that there are many people that don't know, many, many more that do know, many more people do know about what we have than do not. Set that out there. Okay. So I think that it's really a huge responsibility as far as our own commitment to who we are and what we do. And Mary, like you, I mean, I love the products. They've made such a huge difference for my life and my health. And, here we are, 30 years down the road, and I'm healthier than I was when this started. Okay. But I love the marketing model. I'm like you, I just love it. And that's been the biggest surprise to me, because it was something I didn't expect. If you ever find something that just delights you that you never expected. So, really encourage you to, to really put your all into it, your heart into it. People really need us right now, I think, more than ever, in all areas, not just the fact that health is on the top of everybody's mind right now, for every age, but just as Mary was sharing with you all the things that, the reasons that people would want that additional way in which they're going to create income, or they need additional income, but also community. There's a lot of loneliness right now. I think everybody's really feeling that. Is that okay? I've been in the house long enough. I've been here long enough. And so, but I know, Mary, too, you're very passionate about people being committed to that, whatever it takes to get out of your comfort zone and grow your business. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that we have to do in our business. When I first joined, I would hear people say, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your warm market. And I thought, well, maybe you can do that, but I'm not going to do that because that's uncomfortable. But I quickly realized that you can't grow a business, and not just our business, a lot of businesses. I mean, this is kind of 101. You have to get out and network and meet people. And I think I had to think about, what do I really want to do? First of all, I want to bring hope and light and let people know that things, there don't have to be desperate situations, whether it's with their physical or their fiscal health. And so I think with putting people first always, I think that's going to help you get out of your comfort zone the easiest, if you're always thinking about others instead of yourself. Because if we're always worried about ourselves, then we're going to be really nervous about a lot of these things and what make us uncomfortable. But I think people are always being put in my life for different reasons. And I love being connected with them, because maybe we don't even talk about Juice Plus, or maybe the product or the business doesn't make sense to them now, but it might one day. And I think, we all join with hopes of, all my friends and family members are going to order. And I don't know if you guys are like me, but that didn't necessarily happen in my case. And I actually heard this on another call, Cheryl, and I might say it wrong, but they said that you had said before that your warm market, they just get tired. They get like you milked them dry or something like that. They get tired of hearing you talk about it. It doesn't mean don't talk about it, but love on them, don't abandon them. But there's so many people out there to meet. And I think it's very easy to stay home. It's very easy to be on your phone when you're out and about, or to not look at people in the grocery store or at the park with your kids or wherever you are. But if your mindset is just that you're looking to meet people and help make their life better instead of being on the hunt, I think you'll be really surprised what you find. I've really challenged myself to do this. And I'll tell you, a lot of these things I go into not wanting to do it. But especially over the past couple of years, if I get invited to something, I try to say yes, as long as it fits in my schedule, because I know that there's going to be people there that I don't know yet and that I can talk to. And I think that has really helped me. I like talking to people and I like getting to know them. And by default, I just start asking a lot of questions. And so then I get to start learning about them and their journey to see where maybe that we could fit in. I was telling our team that a couple of months ago, a lady in my neighborhood was having a get together to learn how to knit blankets. Okay. Before that moment, I had never, ever in my life had a desire to knit a blanket. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go learn. I'm going to go learn how to do this. And so I went and I met all of these new women. We all got connected on social media. And what do you know, within the next couple of weeks, I was getting messages. Oh, I see you do Juice Plus. I used to do that. Oh, tell me about Juice Plus. And not every person ordered, but it was expanding my market. I met a mom at the park the other week and we connected because we had a lot in common. And it's expanding my market. And I think you have to consistently do that for yourself, filling your funnel, for your potential customers and downline. And then you want to duplicate those actions to your team members so that they are doing the same things. I mean, Cheryl, you've been in this business for 30 years, and I'm sure you still find people to talk to all the time.
All the time. As a matter of fact, my philosophy when I started this, or at least the way I envision it, is that people, if you look at all the people, I mean, they're 350 million just in our country alone, and we're in 20 something countries. I look at people as if that they were just a long line stretched right up to the moon. Okay, and it's endless, and you're going through the line. This is not quite exactly what's said, but you're going through the line. You interested? No, move out of the way. You interested? No, move out of the way. And then you look for that person that's interested, that wants to have a conversation eventually about what you do. And I loved it, Mary, because you talked about it's all about relationships. It's building friendships. I'm one of those people that I love to hear other people's stories. I want to know everybody's story. I want to know where they're from, how many kids they have, what they're, what they like to do. I love your idea. It tickles me to no end that you never thought about knitting a blanket in your life. But
and then everybody got blankets for Christmas presents, Cheryl.
But as you're talking to somebody and you're finding out about them, basically what you're doing is you're creating the foundation for friendship. Whether the person becomes a customer, a team member, or whatever, you're still creating the foundation for friendship. That's all this is about. So then you just have, kind of like one of my distributors says, she said, like I've got little antennas up here that listen for that part where you can share something about your product or you can share something about your business. And that's always going to come up in conversation. People are either concerned about health or they're concerned about, the economy. Right now, just a conversation on inflation. And everybody's talking about it. I go to the grocery store and leave in shock. It's really happening to us fast. At the gasoline pump, I saw something that was cute the other day where a guy is asking a girl to marry her and he says, I brought you the most expensive gift I could find, and it was a gasoline can. So it's not really funny, even though I'm smiling. But what is happening is there's a lot of opportunity for conversation where you can talk about what we have to offer, either an additional stream of income to make those ends meet, the fact that they would be great at what we do because their energy, their desire to make a difference. Also, one of the things that Mary mentioned that I think so important for us to pay attention to, and this was not what I mean, if I look back over 34 years, I don't remember this in people, and I think it's beautiful. And not that people weren't great then too, but it's that people want to be part of something that makes a difference. They want to be part of a purpose. They want to have purpose. I think even the pandemic strengthened this in people that, okay, life could get serious and it's fragile. And so if I'm going to live to the highest edge of my existence, I want to be something more than just creating a dollar, because dollars are needed. We have to create a living. It's a function of life. But while I'm doing that, I'd like for that to make a difference. And I think that when you share with people and you're having conversations out there, that to talk about those things that are important to you too. And I think sharing with people what you see for yourself here. When we start, the picture may be small, it may be bigger as time goes on. Some people start with a really big picture. Mine was fairly small. I was suddenly single. I wanted a prom dress for my daughter that I couldn't afford. That was the first immediate thing. And then I really wanted to be able to send my children to college, and on a teacher's salary, I couldn't do that. So I told people what my goals and desires were. And I think that's really important in sharing the story as you create conversation, because then what you're describing is potential, and people respond to potential even more so than acquired gain. There's actually been studies done that they respond to the potential of what's available. It might not have been that their desire was to send their children to college. It might have been that they wanted to stay home with their children and have the privilege of raising their own children. It might have been they were really concerned about retirement. Whatever it was, the fact that I saw something that could bring an answer, a solution to the desires that I had, left an opening for them to be able to use this as a solution for themselves. But it's really in initiating the conversation, getting out of your comfort zone. And really, it was a big thing for me to get out of my comfort zone. When you say married too, I mean, I think about the people that I shared this with, because you said you think all your friends and family are going to say, yes, I'll do this with you. Okay. And what they said to me was, you just are going through a divorce. You're having a nervous breakdown. That's what's happening to you. This is not real. It's what's wrong. And so it was just the opposite, of what the reaction that I thought I might have. And I actually didn't have a nervous breakdown. I had a really great find with the Juice Plus company, and it's been a great joy. Mary, any other comments that you have here tonight as we're getting close to the end of time? But I think that, just realizing what we have to offer and doing it with heart, as she said, if you really keep other people's best interests at heart, the business happens, the money follows you home. It's really, what's that saying we have heard often, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's listening to other people that's the greatest way to care. Mary?
Oh, I was just going to add one more thing. When Cheryl's talking about, in these conversations with people, ask questions. I mean, we've been taught that. We hear that all the time. But from my own experience, I went to bed one night I never would have given Juice Plus a second thought, and woke up the next day. And when my now sponsor said, have you ever thought about making this a business? I was like, oh, I don't know. Okay. And that really got my mind to start thinking. And so if we don't ask these questions, we don't know what people are thinking. And I used to be very scared of the word no, or I would be very scared of what they would think. But the longer I've been with the company, I'm proud of who we are and what we have. And if somebody else doesn't get it, or if it's not for them, that's okay. But they're not going to know unless you tell them. And it's going to be different for everybody. Like she said, for her, it was putting her kids through college. For some people, they hear we have health benefits at the top level and they really struggle. Maybe they're an entrepreneur and those are really difficult for them to get. Maybe it's just being able to make money from home. There's so many different things. People are lonely. They need a community. our community was such a blessing, especially in the past couple years. You know, we've been connecting on Zoom for forever, and then the rest of the world found out about it and started using it. You know, so I think you don't know until you ask, and you're going to have to ask more than one time, most likely. I mean, you heard Jenny's story on here, and she knew better than me. They didn't need Juice Plus, and she most certainly did not need another income with Juice Plus. You know, if you might have heard Lauren LaHave talk, I think she told Jeff or Bertie no for like 17 years or something crazy like that. So don't smother people that tell you no, but also don't give up on them. You know, sometimes they just need to hear it often. So
I think those are such important points. And fortunately, I didn't tell Jeff no for 17 years, but I hung up on him a number of times because thought I was a lot smarter than that. And, fortunately, he was persistent. But you're so right. And the questions are so important. I actually, would have questions that I would kind of almost have at the tip of my tongue, like if you've met somebody, well, what do you do for a living? Well, if they tell you what they do, then it's, the next question is they're going to ask you what you do for a living. So it's, setting it up or ask someone how's business or things of that nature, and maybe because I taught kindergarten, when you go to school to learn to teach kindergarten, they tell you that the only way you can teach it is through questions, because if you don't ask them questions, they won't listen long enough. You can't get their attention. So I look at everybody more or less as if they were my kindergarten students, because I can only get their attention if I ask questions. So that's a really good point, Mary, is that I would have a little repertoire of kind of one-liners. And like you said, though, she came to that very question that, where you really had to respond with, have you ever thought about this being a business? That's a very simple and very powerful question. I had one person that literally went to national marketing director by asking people, have you ever heard of Juice Plus? Just that one thing. Have you ever heard of Juice Plus? And so it's, whatever fits, but the questions are very, very powerful. And if it's just one simple question, whether it's related to product or to business, the person now has to think of the answer, which is a lot different than you feeding them information where they can zone out. So questions are very, very powerful. So thank you so much, Mary, for sharing this training time with me. And congratulations on all your achievements too, as she's grown to top position of national marketing director as well. So, our business is one that really, there's so much for so many people here. And we really, really appreciate you being with us tonight, all of you. So we'll see you back here next Thursday, and I look forward to it and bring folks with you. Okay. Good night, folks. Thank you, Mary, and thank you.
Night. Thank you.
Tonight.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.